Welcome to Real Talk, Real Women. My name is Miriam Khalladi, and today we have public speaker, nutritionist, coach, author, and writer Jenny Grothe on the show. Welcome, Jenny. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
You're most welcome. Jenny, let's go back in time a bit. What happened during the fall of 2007?
During 2007, I was in my upper 30s and I was a stay at home mom, kind of a relatively new stay at home mom. We had adopted my first son, and I was also working full time. And I just let my health kind of get out of control. And you know how it just happened so slowly. Before I knew it, I was at about 170 pounds. And I just had some really poor habits. My husband and I were eating out a lot. We were skipping meals during the day. We had business lunches, stuff like that. And I wasn't doing anything to take care of me. And I had tried some different diets, over the years. But for whatever reason, I gave up and I just kind of let them go and went back to my old ways. And in 2007, quite honestly, I think that I hit, when people talk about rock bottom, I think I hit rock bottom. I just was so unhappy, and I felt like I was at a turning point because I knew that 40 was coming up pretty closely. And if I didn't do something about my health, it wasn't going to get any better. So I signed up for a gym membership, didn't tell my husband because I had signed up for a couple of gym memberships before that. And each time I'd let them go. I paid a lot of money and then just never did anything with it. But I knew this time was going to be different, but I didn't want him to tell me no. So I signed up, and that's kind of where it all started.
Great. And I love how you wrote to me that you went from leading your life rather than letting your life lead you. Tell me about the thinking.
It's so easy for us to become victims. If we don't do anything to direct our life, we just kind of let days happen, and if we aren't proactive about what we fill in them, there's always going to be something that comes up that takes up our time, that takes precedent, that keeps you busy. And that's kind of the way my life was. I mean, I was always running from, like I said, I told you that I was working at the time. I was running from phone call to phone call or from meeting to meeting and taking care of my kid and taking care of Greg and, doing things in the church. And they were all really great things, but I wasn't first taking care of me. And so before I knew it, like my days would just fill up, but then I didn't have that me time. And ever since I started taking more, being more of a steward in my day and making sure that I had time to think about what I was going to, eat that day, but then also taking some time just to exercise, whether it meant to go for a walk or get to the gym or whatever it was. That's when I felt a little bit more fulfilled, but that's when I was directing my life rather than just letting it kind of happen.
Right, and it hasn't always been easy for you either.
No.
You've struggled with overtraining, adrenal fatigue, thyroid disease, and binge eating disorder. I trust each and every one of those experiences came with their own lessons. What are some of the most valuable things you've learned throughout your journey?
One of the biggest learnings, especially early on, is when I finally felt that I was healthy, I wanted to do it all. I had never dreamed that I would be able to run and I'd be able to, feel strong and work out the way that I did. And it was like this new lease on life. And so I always wanted to be physically active. And, I'd go for a run in the morning, then I'd go to the gym, and then my girlfriend and I would go hiking. And then it was just like I filled up my day with all of these really great physical things. And it was really fun at first, but my body couldn't keep up. Because again, I was getting close to 40 at the time. I struggled with overtraining and adrenal fatigue because I just was pushing my body beyond its limits. And I think that was a really big learning for me, that healthy doesn't mean being active all the time. It means doing things in moderation and listening to your body and finding where that balance is. A little bit goes a long way. Too much can really set you backwards. And that's what I found. Same thing with dieting. I started struggling with some of the food issues, if you will, when I was being too restrictive for too long. Because when you go from being a former bigger girl to really not thinking about what you eat or not really even caring, you just eat what you want when you want and, as much as you want, to finally feeling like you're physically fit, but with that, being very, I don't want to say restrictive, but, you really watch everything that you're putting in your mouth. Your mind can start playing little games with you. Like all of a sudden, if you do that for too long with not a lot of moderation, you start to categorize foods, if you will, as good and bad and healthy and unhealthy and okay and not okay, and all of those little mind games. And even though you try to rationalize it and think, oh, that's not me, it's going on. And if you allow it to just kind of multiply, you can find yourself where when you're doing that excessively for too long a period of a time, again, your body will get to a point where like, screw it, I'm just going to go for it. And that's where the binging kind of started to happen. And so the last couple of years in particular, I've really had to focus on allowing that moderation and enjoying myself and having those treat meals, if you will. But even more than that, just being physically fit doesn't mean that you always have to be on plan 100% of the time. It just means making good choices, but allowing that balance to happen and to forgive yourself when you enjoy yourself maybe during an unscheduled time. And, these are all things that I've just learned through trial and error. Like I think that's why I love working with women so much, is because I kind of feel like I'm a guinea pig. I've been there, done that. Some things worked, some things didn't work, but I'm going to be completely honest on what it feels like and what are the watch outs so that other women don't make the same mistakes.
Oh, great. You're doing such a great job, Jenny.
Thank
And since then, you've also competed. Tell me what you love about competing as a process.
It's interesting. Like, first of all, I love muscle. I think that women with muscle, it's just so beautiful. And I felt that way ever since I was younger. When I was a teenager, my mom was a lightweight bodybuilder. And so I kind of had her as a role model, especially during a time where it was very new. Like people, that's when Arnold Schwarzenegger was first starting out and he was kind of leading the industry. And there weren't that many women that were competing, but my mom was one of them. And I just saw her as being so strong and so capable and so beautiful. She just had this shape that nobody else did. And when I started lifting and I started to see some of those changes take place in my own body, it was very empowering because, again, coming from that former victim mentality of you let life happen to you to all of a sudden like, no, heck no, I'm going to lead my life and I'm going to work hard and I'm going to sculpt my body and work on those weak areas to have what my mom had. It's very empowering and it's very satisfying, and it's not about anybody else. It's just about me. And then as far as when you're doing comp planning and, you have to be very focused and you have to be very committed and you have to trust the process, and you need to definitely work with somebody who knows what he or she is doing to lead you down that path, because a dime a dozen trainers out there that will get you to the competition stage, but they'll do it at the risk of your health. And finding somebody that really knows how to do it safely, that's so key. And but when you do work with somebody who knows what they're doing, it's just a beautiful process to see, day by day, week by week, your body starts to kind of transform. And you either love the process or you hate it. And it's been actually a really neat experience for me.
And you also ran the Boston Marathon twice, on one occasion crossing the finish line just 1 minute before the awful accident. How has that experience impacted you?
That experience in particular kind of affected me for a couple of different reasons. One, running always... Well, I never used to run. Let me just qualify that, because I sucked at running. When I was younger, I was the one who would skip the mile when we had to do it in PE because I hated running. But when I started to lose weight, I started to appreciate running and I started to really enjoy it, and I love taking it outside, and it's something that just later in life came more easily for me. And anyway, through these different races and stuff like that, I qualified for Boston and had a great first experience. And the second time that I did it in 2013, it was by far the most difficult race that I've ever run physically, because I started out too fast and I found myself the last 10 miles just really, really suffering and in pain. And with every foot strike, I just felt pain shoot up through my body. And it was the first time ever that I've actually contemplated walking off the course. And that's hard. That's really hard when you put in so much training for months on end and you've done it before, to think this I might not finish this one. And so for that reason, it was a very hard race, and it was by far my slowest time, but I'm thankful that I did stick with it and finish. But then after crossing the finish line, there were a series of tables like at any race, and they give you your little your little blanket, and they give you your water, and they give you a medal, and they give you hugs, and there's just these things because they're trying to get people down through the chute because there's people constantly coming through. And I was at the first table, and I felt this kind of like this boom, and my immediate thought was it was a cannon. I thought, well, wow, they're really adding to it because I didn't remember them doing it from before, But no sooner had I thought that, and then there was the second boom, and you just felt like this, you could feel it through your feet because it was, the ground just kind of shook, and just kind of a wave of wind kind of, blasts. But after that second blast, that's when everybody realized that it wasn't a cannon and that it was a bomb, and panic set in, and it was complete chaos. And it just made me realize that you have to be so careful and so cautious and so aware, and don't ever for a second think that something like that might not happen, because it really can. The Boston Marathon is known for being like that. It's kind of like, that's our pride. I mean, that's America. Like, that's America's race. That's where everybody comes together. I think they say that they have 500,000 spectators that come out to the course just to support you and cheer you on, and to think that that happened there, I think it really shook people up. And it made me super grateful. I was very fortunate to have passed when I did. Any later than that, and things could have been a lot different. But it certainly did. It changed me, and it did scare me, as it did everybody that I was with. And my heart still goes out to those people who were directly impacted. But it was a life-changing experience for sure.
I love how you're all about turning the I cannot and I will never excuses into I can and I will commitments. If you could only give one piece of advice on how to turn excuses into commitments, what would it be?
One of the early mottos that I kind of adapted when I was first starting out, when it would have been really easy to give up, was I told myself every single day that giving up is not an option. And I truly do believe that stuck with me during that entire process, because every other time, the one thing that was different was I always gave up. It wasn't about somebody else. It wasn't about my schedule. It wasn't about somebody telling me not to do something, or that I was in too much pain or whatever, It was that I gave up. And this time, when I was 170 pounds and I signed up with a friend and we went to the gym, even after 2 weeks, when she decided that it wasn't for her anymore. In years past, I would have said, oh, well, I'm out, I'm done. That was fun. More money down the drain. But I just decided, no, giving up is no longer an option, no matter how long it takes, no matter how much results I do or don't see. Giving up was no longer going to be an option. And that would be my advice for anybody, because it's so easy to give up. The hardest thing to do is to not give up, especially when it's tough and there's trials and something comes up. It's hard, but just don't give up, because when you do, the only person that you're letting down is you.
I also like how your thoughts on setting goals high, as you never know what you might achieve. How do you set ambitious goals versus small limiting goals, and why should you?
When you set lofty goals, the worst thing that can happen is if you work every day towards that lofty goal. Let's say that you're getting ready for a competition, right? Because this is exactly was my thinking that first time. When my friend approached me about competing that first time, I thought, you know what? What's the worst thing that could happen? I train hard for 4 months, and I followed my competition plan for 4 months. Even if I don't get on stage, that's my lofty goal. If I don't get on stage, I'm still going to look a heck of a lot better than I do right now. So I say, shoot for the stars, go for it. Why not? Because you have nothing to lose. But having those, it's those smaller goals. Like, when I first started running, I never dreamed at that point that I would run the Boston Marathon, or New York for that matter. But I just started with, smaller races and just doing it for fun. And as long as I enjoyed it, then I thought, well, I'll do another one, or I'll try a longer distance, or I'll try one that's flat, or I'll try one that's downhill. I mean, just changing it up, but having those little things that help you kind of get to that point. Why not? Life is way too short. So it's, we might as well look back someday and say, wow, I did all that and that was fun, or I really tried and I gave it my all. that's a much better memory than thinking, gosh, I wish I would have done that.
Right, I agree. And how does age factor into it all? Is it ever too late to start?
I don't think so. In hindsight, do I wish that I would have been healthy and did some of this in my 20s? Absolutely. When I look at some of my cute friends that are at the gym that are now competing or running and they're super fast or they're whatever, they've got the nice, thick, supple skin or what have you. I mean, gosh, yeah, that would have been awesome had I started earlier. But the other option is I may not have started ever. So starting when I was 37, absolutely, I'm so glad that I did that. And I know some people, there's one friend of mine in particular who I think that she just turned 50 and she is in absolutely amazing shape and has a physique that's just absolutely beautiful. Now, I think that the older we get, the easier it is for us to think it is too late. I don't think so, though. I mean, as long as there's a will and we have a commitment and we have the drive and we have that mentality of never giving up, you never know what you might be able to do. You're selling yourself short by saying I can't do that because of my age.
Right, I agree. And you've contributed to many of the leading fitness magazines and have a strong reputation in the industry. I know how much you can care about the community and how strongly you believe in serving and helping others. What motivates and drives you to do so?
There's a lot of women that are, growing up that are catty and, the one-ups and the judging and what have you. And especially in the fitness industry, there's a lot of that. And there's a lot of people who make it look easy or perfect and, everybody should be able to do this or whatever. And I think that we are so much stronger when we empower each other and we support each other and we love each other and help each other. And it doesn't matter who you are, what your ethnic background is, where you come from, especially with social media, we come together from all over the globe. It's not just here in Utah where I am, it's from everywhere. And as long as we are there to support each other, I think that we can do some amazing things. Social media, that's kind of what opened up a lot of doors for me personally. And again, that was never something that I intended. It just kind of happened. But I early on, there were a lot of people that would come on and they'd be really kind of mean and just not nice. They would say things that were unflattering and mean towards other gals that were on the page and what have you. And I decided, what? There's so much of that out there. That's not going to happen here. And as long as I catch that, those people, I would just take them off or I'd remove them because we don't need that. What we need as women is to support each other. Because I was thinking about, for me, yeah, I'm bigger than that. I'm not going to let that bug me. But what if I have somebody that's just barely starting their journey and they're looking to be a part of a group where they can, be motivated and supported and encouraged, and then they read that comment, how's that going to make them feel? That might be the one thing that throws them off course and they say, I'm done. We need to eliminate that and try to support each other in a very non-threatening, non-judgmental way. So if I have a hand in any of that at all, then I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Do I feel like that I'm the reason for it or whatever? No, I just think that I've been blessed with an opportunity to help women come together.
And you have two adopted sons, Dakota and Zane. What do you teach your children about health and fitness?
I think the best thing that we teach them is by modeling our behavior. I have some friends, before I got healthy, I remember one friend in particular who didn't allow sweets in the house. They had fish all the time. And what would happen, I remember the kids, they'd come over to our house or anybody's house, and they would raid the pantry. And I thought, and actually one of my closest friends growing up, it was kind of the same thing. She could never have chocolate. And therefore, when she got older, she kind of resented that. And so then, now she has it every chance that she gets. So I think that the best thing that we can do is to show our kids that eating right and exercising are very important to us. But then again, even with them, let them be kids, they are kids after all. Let them enjoy things that they want to enjoy. Let them enjoy some of their favorite cereals, but make it a balance so that they might be having a chicken salad with us at night, but then in the morning, maybe they're having Fruity Pebbles. I don't know, but just, let them be kids, but model the behavior that you hope that they will want to adapt as they get older and to encourage them in their individual interests, sports or otherwise, so that they'll want to be better at it, just like we're trying to be better at the things that we do, both Greg and I.
That's great. That's great.
So
Tell me about your Gen Fit lifestyle program. Who is it for and what is it all about?
it's really geared towards the woman, no matter what age, that's looking for a support group, that's looking where to start, how to start, and what are some of the key steps that will allow them to give them the structure, the framework to lose weight or to be healthier or to eat better. Because again, there's so many different diets that are out there. There's so many different people out there telling them what to do. There's so many different theories that sometimes the more you know, the less you know, because you just like, who do I listen to? What do I do? So I tried to kind of chunk it down into what really helped me. Looking back, what were the 10 most significant things that helped me become healthier? And then I share that with these women that are going through the program, and give them some different homework and exercises, if you will, each week, and accountability, so that they can find success. Okay. But it's the same thing, like a couple of friends and I are doing a workshop here in a couple of weeks in Salt Lake City, and it's it's the same thinking. We want to provide a safe environment for people to succeed.
Wow, that's great. And you have your very own cookbook as well. What can you share around it?
I have a lot of different recipes that have been fun because, I love to cook in the kitchen. My mom was an excellent role model at that. She's German and is an amazing German cook. So, thinking back on her, she kind of was my role model. But she would always make oatmeal when we'd go skiing. And honestly, I hated it because it was always the same way. And then when I started competing, it seemed like every person I had worked with, they would always have oatmeal in the plan. And it got really old having the same thing every single day, made the same way. And so I started experimenting and just trying some different things with oatmeal. And I found really quickly that I loved experimenting with baked oatmeal. And I would share those recipes on social media, and I'd have women that would write me and they'd say, "Oh my gosh, you should totally make a cookbook." And I think, "Oh no, whatever, that's not going to happen." But the more that I shared, the more I kind of got that feedback. And fortunately enough, I know some people that were able to help me pull it together. My next door neighbor, who's also a really good friend, is also a publisher, and he's like, "Yeah, let's just do this." And so he helped me, and we put together that first oatmeal cookbook. And it was a lot of fun. It was, it's kind of like my little baby in hindsight, because it took something that I never used to love, and to now it's probably one of the things that I love the most. It's like a treat because you can make oatmeal and with so many different additions. Some of them are super healthy. Some of them are, borderline a total dessert. But it's just, I love, now I'm a huge advocate for oatmeal, and it's something I love to share and cook and share with others. So yeah, that's the premise of the cookbook, 75 Ways.
And where can people go to learn more about you and connect with you online and get the cookbook?
The one place that has the extensions to everything else, if you went to my fitness blog, it's a fitness and recipe and just an overall thought blog. It's Jen Fit's Playground with hyphens, so it's jen-fits-playground.com. There you'll also find extensions to Facebook and to Twitter and Instagram, as well as my cookbook. But that's just kind of like the house for everything.
Great, and I will also make sure to put your links below this video.
Oh, great, thanks.
You're welcome. Is there anything else you would like to talk about today that you feel we've missed?
Gosh, I don't know. I think that we've covered so much. I think that, the biggest thing is just, no matter who you are, like women, just don't sell yourself short. If there's something that you want to, have or do, go for it. For too many years, I just wasted my life away. I was very blessed to have a wonderful husband. As I've mentioned, I had a great career, and I have 2 beautiful adopted boys now. But I never allowed myself to dream of doing things for me. And everybody else came first. And I just kind of, I don't know, I just felt like those really good years of me were behind me. And I realize now that, gosh, that couldn't be further from the truth. I think that we all have unlimited potential. We just need to tap into it and do it, and just, chase whatever dream it is. If it's healthy, great. If it's, health, I should say, great. If it's something else, that's fine too. But just don't sell yourself short.
This has been amazing, Jenny. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. And thank you so much for watching. My name is Miriam Khalladi. For more inspiration, check out our website at realtalkrealwomen.com.